A very good afternoon to all of you and a warm welcome to our NATAP Apprenticeship webinar series. Today we'll be discussing about the emerging trends on current apprenticeship ecosystem. Recently, second edition of Apprenticeship Outlook was published by NATAP, the National Employability to Apprenticeship Program. The report clearly states that the net apprenticeship outlook of July to December has increased by 4%, taking it to 46% against 41% for the period of January to June 2021. The report delivers hard facts about the hiring trends of apprentices across different industries, different sectors, small, medium, and large. Report also talks about the gender diversity with respect to hiring apprentices across different functions, job roles. The report also states the challenges faced by the establishments in hiring apprentices, again, across different job roles, different industries, different clusters. The report also touches upon the factor with respect to productivity, or you can say the learning curve of apprentices while they are doing the on-the-job training at establishments. To discuss the same, today we have with us three eminent industry leaders who have been doing apprenticeship for many years now in the organization successfully. They have been able to implement the Apprenticeship Act with all compliances, taking in the Apprenticeship Act, which is there with all amendments. So today we have with us Mr. Deva Prasad, who is President Commercial and CFO of Proline India. Mr. Prasad, very much welcome to you on this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Then we have Mr. Natal, who is Director HR for Besha Intertechnology. Mr. Natal, warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Dhriti. Happy to be part of this webinar.
Thank you. And then we have with us Mr. Ajay Nath, who is the HR head for Bijay Diagnostic Limited. Mr. Ajay, a warm welcome to you for the webinar.
Good evening, Dhriti, and thanks for having me here.
Thank you. So we'll start the discussion on the four topics. We'll start with the hiring trends, how the hiring trends look like for next 6 months with respect to your industry, with respect to different job roles where you are hiring apprentices, and what is your input for other industries. So I'd like to start the discussion with Mr. Deva Prasad. If you can throw your data points or your experience in terms of hiring apprentices, and what is your plan for next 6 months in terms of hiring apprentices in your company?
Sure. As far as we are concerned, during the first part of this current financial year, as all of us are aware, due to COVID and other things, there has been a little slowdown in terms of the hiring due to business closures everywhere. So now, since the things are getting opened up, opportunities are there. Now we are concentrating on opening more doors for our retail business across the country. So thus, we will be hiring at least minimum 50 to 100 people over next 3 to 6 months. That is there with us. That plan is there. Yeah.
So your hiring will be in metros, or your hiring will be on non-metros also?
It is metros and non-metros, both the places. Yeah.
Okay. So if I talk about hiring, because you are representing a retail industry, right? So do you think hiring is basically for the festive season coming in, or you say it will be a continuous hiring for the next 6-7 months, or for some more times to come?
No, it will be a continuous process. It's not necessarily that only for festive season or like that. It is a continuous process. It's a continuous. See, more and more business opportunities when it is there available for me to open up the more counters. See, to be precise, I will explain you how my business works. Yeah. See, basically, we are a retail industry. That means my branded apparels or branded footwear is getting traded through my own retail stores as well as through the large format stores. You might have large format stores for me is like you might have heard Lifestyle, Reliance, Centrals, where they have big stores where I operate my shop-in-shop concept. So there, to manage my counters and other things, I will be needing the people to do it. So this is where a learning, this experience for the people who will be the starters in their career to understand this merchandising aspect of it, retail trading, all those things. This will be the opportunity. It is a win-win situation for both of us, where we will be able to train the people as well as I manage the counters through them. Because to manage the business operations will be managed by channels, but my counter need to be managed by myself. So this is how, when I say, when a lot of opportunities are there for opening more counters with this format stores. See, they have already stores, I may go and open the counter there, or they may expand their own new stores across both metros and non-metros, where I go and take the counters. So this is our business opportunity, where opportunity is there to hire the people and put them for training there.
The hiring you're doing, or you're projecting that you'll be doing hiring for next 6 months, hiring is going to improve as compared to last 6 months.
Yeah.
So these are basically new hiring or a replacement of the existing people moving out because the lockdown was there, the malls were not there, the shops were closed. Or
yeah, it is a combination. So I can say it is like 50-50. 50% of the people may be a new hiring and 50 may be a replacement of the people who have just left and gone during this period.
And what is the sentiment of the industry as a whole for retail?
Sorry, I couldn't get you.
What is the sentiment of the retail industry, because you are one of the leading retail giants? So what is your thought? What is the sentiment of the other retail players in the market? So I think the sentiments, hiring is increasing.
No, I think there was actually sentiments were down among the consumers over last few months, but slowly when I could see the business is picking up now. So I could see the sentiments are changing because people have understood. See, now at the end of the day, whatever has happened. Now people have to learn to live along with all this situation. So people are trying to come back to normalcy from all angles. So I am seeing that trend and I am seeing the improvement in business. It's happening.
So what is the absolute number, or you can say in terms of percentage, hiring we're looking for next 6 months?
Maybe about 5 to 10% of my total strength I'll be taking.
Great. So I think I'll pick up this question, Ms. Natal. I think you are from different industry altogether, manufacturing, a mix of manufacturing, electronics and electrical. So I just want to know what is the input with respect to hiring trends for next 6 months, and if there's any challenge in hiring apprentices during this festival season, because there'll be a lot of hiring happening. There'll be a lot of you can say pushback in terms of stipend. A lot of complications of when hirings are large. So what is your thought on this, Ms. Natalie?
Yeah, thanks, Dhriti. Compared to Mr. David Prasad, I come from an industry. I represent an industry which is a sunrise industry. It's electronic manufacturing. Okay, the company which I represent is called Vishay Manufacturing, Vishay Components. It's a subsidiary of Vishay Intertechnology, an American multinational corporation. A company, the journey began 60 years ago with Dr. Felix Zanmin, and we make discrete semiconductors to passive components, from small diodes to very powerful capacitors. And we are present we are a broadliner. We are one of the world's largest semiconductor and component manufacturers. We are present across the world. And in India, we have 2 locations, one near Pune in Loni, and also another one in Mumbai. So our challenges as a manufacturer is different as compared to what my fellow colleague had mentioned. Manufacturing, as you know, is the fulcrum, is the key focus of the government of India under the Make in India initiative. So we are making all out efforts to manufacture and export products. We're an export-oriented unit located in near Loni. So
Can you hear us?
Yeah, but suddenly I get some other sound.
No. Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So our focus is on manufacturing, and our business is growing. Earlier today and over the last week, I've been attending a few seminars of ELSINA and other authorities, other trade forums, and I understand our sector, especially electronic components, is set to a six-fold increase in business. And thanks to pandemic, everybody is now hooked onto electronic gadgets, and the demand is actually soared. We are literally in cloud nine. So the computers are, I mean, the business is in cloud computing, and our business is also soaring. So the demand has gone up, and we are actually not able to keep pace with the demand and supply gap. So we are targeting, we are virtually looking at hiring 10 to 15% of our workforce in the next 6 months. Okay, so because our order books are full, in fact, Mr. Dev Prasad was mentioning some time ago that they're focused on festivals and other things, but ours is also a focus on festivals. But at the same time, it is also based on consumption, industrial consumption, and also people domestic consumption. So we are poised for growth, and we are looking at a minimum of 15% increase in hiring. And we would like to do bulk of the hiring of roughly about 10% in the apprenticeship category.
So it means that your hiring with respect to your sector is also going to increase in next 6 months' time.
Yes, it is.
But a lot of discussions going on with the scarcity of semiconductors and all those things. So how did that particular pain area, because now that is impacting the other industries also. So I think that is going to help us if we hire more people and improve the production part of it.
I mean, they are related, but not closely related, because the short supply of the semiconductors has got to do with raw materials as well. Because, unlike the automotive sector, which started 25 years ago, and now we are envy of the world, we have an impressive components and supply chain established in automotive industry. Whereas in electronic industry, we are still taking baby steps. We are in the early stages. Okay, we were probably what China used to be in the early 90s. Okay, China rapidly invested in infrastructure and also in skilling their employees, and now they are what they are, where they are. So India is still there because many of the raw materials we import. So that is creating a bottleneck for the supply chain industry. Labor is only adding to the problem, adding more fuel to the fire. Other than that, labor is not a standalone problem. Labor is not the lone bottleneck. Okay, but skilled labor is also adding to the problems.
Yeah, I think that is the apprenticeship fit into the requirement of the establishments and organizations.
Yes. So we believe, as all of us in the panel, we believe apprenticeship is one of the solutions to bridging the skill gap.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay. Now I'll go to Mr. Ajay. Mr. Ajay, what is your input or maybe thought process with respect to, because you belong to different industry altogether, which I think actually had a tremendous growth during the COVID time. So what is your thought with respect to hiring in next 6 months' time?
Yeah, Priti, I actually, what you mentioned, yes, healthcare has seen a tremendous growth in the last I would say 1.5 year. And the industry I come from, like the company I come from, it is into comprehensive diagnostic services, majorly in AP and Telangana. And as far as our demand or our requirement on this is concerned, because we have also lost a lot of people in the process in last 1.5 year, and because of that reason also our demand for hiring is also has increased a lot. And one of the major thing what has happened is Vijaya Diagnostic recently has become a public limited organization. We have gone for an IPO, so our expansion plans for the next 3 years are very big. So today we have around 83 centers across AP and Telangana and a very small presence in Gurgaon and Kolkata. So next 3 years we have target to make it to around at least 160 centers. So definitely our manpower requirement will be also equally very high. And overall hiring, if you see, presently what we are like how where do we stand is around 18 to 20% of our on-roll workforce or say workforce is this apprentice what we have with us. So we have been maintaining this for quite some time. So going forward also it will be in the range of 18 to 20% what we are going to hire.
But is I talk about when I talk about your industry, which is highly regulated,
Hmm.
taking care of the hiring part, when you talk about hiring apprentices, right? You need to a lot of checks and balances are there, right? When you talk a specific healthcare industry, so how is impacting your hiring, or it is not impacting your hiring because you have the supply chain with you in hiring apprentices.
See, majorly when we look at this apprentice, we look at them at the entry level thing, like the basic desk jobs, okay, like billing, dispatch. Then we also, if they come with some kind of certification, we also look at them at as plebos. So as far as our requirement is concerned, we don't see any challenge because they come with the basic skills. We pick them up and they come with the basic skills, and then we groom them like on the job training. We keep on providing them during in the first year of their traineeship, and that caters to a requirement.
Okay, got it. So I think all three of you are agreeing that the hiring is going to increase when you talk about apprentices. The report also clearly states there's going to be hiring. The hiring is going to increase in all the sectors specific to when I talk about retail or manufacturing or even agriculture. I think the hiring trend shows very positive trend. So when I go back to the report, there's another very interesting thing is that gender diversity. When I talk about the gender diversity, maybe 3 or 4 years back, when you hire apprentices specific to manufacturing or specific to some heavy industry, it is only male dominated. Now we have seen people are hiring apprentices from the female apprentices are also there. So, Mr. Ajay, what is your thought on gender diversity with respect to hiring apprentices?
Yeah, for our industry, I'm sure because this gender preferences will differ from industry to industry. Okay, but for our kind of industry, if I look at, okay, because okay, I can take example of my organization. Like at Vijaya, for example, in last 14 months, we have hired around 700 plus apprentice, and out of that, only 35% is male. So 65% of the population is female, like women candidates. So what I'm trying to say, having said this, what I'm trying to say is, first of all, at Vijaya, and I think in the healthcare industry also, because there are a lot of positions where we hire them generally in any of the hospitals or any of the pharmaceutical company or diagnostic services like us. Majorly they are hired at the next job where we can their skill will match those requirements. At least with us, yeah, it is able to match our expectations, and whatever capability or skill set they come with, and it matches. So what happens is, and like I mentioned earlier sometime back, that then we groom them accordingly based on our requirement. They come with a basic skill set, and then as per our requirement we groom them during their 1 year of traineeship. So as for, and when it comes to male and female, we don't have any preferences. Any candidate, anybody, whether it's a male gender or a female gender, if they have the basic skill set and which we see that yeah it will be good for us, we immediately hire them.
So I think I take up this question is Mr. Nathan. What is your thought on gender diversity when we talk about apprenticeship hiring with respect to your industry, with respect to specific to your company?
Dhriti, we are an equal opportunity employer. We share being a global organization. We do not discriminate based on gender. Having said that, we only look at people as resources and as apprentices, and we don't look at them as boys or girls. So the critical factor, the key factor for us when we hire apprentices is the skill. Okay, so we look for trades. Either it could be fitter trade, electrical trade, electronics trade, or welder trade, whatever trade that you're talking about. Okay, the machine mechanic of the machine, and so on and so forth. We look at the trade, and if the person has the qualification, then we hire the apprenticeship. We hire the apprentice. Okay. As a company, we emphasize a lot on technology. We are a technology company, and as I said, we bring to life the technical products worldwide, and we are proud to call it as we call ourselves as the DNA of tech. We say it's our trademark, DNA of tech. So for us, gender, we irrespective of gender, it's a skill that matters. The person has the necessary skills, then we hire the person, we onboard the person, and we train them. Okay. Unfortunately, when we go and hire from the apprentices from the institutions, very few number of girls have opted for these trades. So those are incidental. So these are not intentional, but it just happens that only 10 or 5% of the girls have chosen this trade. So the remaining 95% happen to be boys. So we hire irrespective of the gender.
Great. So I think I'll take up this question, Mr. Prasad, also. I think your industry have a lot of gender diversity when you talk about retail. So what is your thought on this? I'm sure you must be hiring a lot of female candidates also as an apprentice.
Yes. Dhriti, I do concur and I do agree with my co-panelists. See, at our organization also, firstly, we do not discriminate between men and women. I mean, we give equal opportunity to all. So now how we look at it is for the job profile or a role, like Mr. Ajaynath also mentioned, we are also like majorly looking at the entry level at our retail counters. Now, though we do not discriminate, but what is happening is the number of people coming into this area, men is actually more than the ladies. Though they are available, I can say it is 70-30. 70 are men, 30 are ladies. The reason for this is the working hours. See, what happens is in the retail stores and all, as we know, they will be working till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night. So though now everything is opened up and ladies also work in the night shifts, everything is there. But still, as an Indian woman or Indian mentality, still some kind of fear is there among the people to work after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the night. So thus, they are not coming forward to take up majorly. But having said that, we are open. We will provide an opportunity to whomsoever is approaching us for a training in these areas. We are open. We will provide an opportunity.
So is a dropout more when you talk about hiring a female apprentice? You see a dropout more happening? Maybe after they complete 1 month or 2 months time, as compared to the male apprentice?
No, not like that. See, as far as the dropout is concerned, whether it is a male or female, see, they join, and if it is not suitable to them or they do not like the trade or whatever, because since they will only experience when they get into the role. So thus dropout is there from both in men and women. It is not specific that, men will be lesser dropout and women will be more. It's not like that. Not like that.
Great. I think all three of you are clearly stating that you believe in gender diversity, and it's an equal opportunity organization where anybody who have a skill or want to work hard can be part of your organization. Makes a lot of sense. So I'll take up the third point with Mr. Natnal. So when you talk about hiring apprentices, today, when I speak to a lot of organizations, it is very tough to hire apprentices. When I compare with the regular employment, if I tell someone to be an employee or I tell someone to be an apprentice, I think the person will choose employment against apprenticeship program. So are you facing challenges also in hiring apprentices, or you have been able to work out that particular issue?
Dhriti, this is an interesting question, but I would be lying if I say I don't face challenges. I am facing challenges because people have a choice. So youngsters who come out of institutions, they are lured by what they see on the TVs and what they see in the media. So everybody loves to get into a permanent job straight away, buy a handy mobile or cars or whatever it is. So they are kind of lured by the media. So the reality is different. So we try to hire people with the right attitude and the aptitude. But it is a fact. It is a fact that it's a bit of a struggle for us to get the right resources. We do reach out to far-flung areas because people in the cities are generally averse to working in manufacturing sectors. So they prefer, like Mr. Dev Prasad said, they prefer to work in the malls, air-conditioned environment. Of course, our factory is also an air-conditioned environment because we manufacture electronics, or the health sectors and so on and so forth. So we reach out to far-flung areas. The people in the rural areas are more willing to come to factories and work. Okay, they don't mind dirtying their hands. So which is a good thing. I was just reading the report, the National Skill Development Corporation report. So in our own state of Maharashtra, the skill scarcity is likely to be in the region of about 3 to 3.5 million in the next few years. So the working population itself in Maharashtra is only 5 million. So it means it is likely to get the increase up to 60%. So whatever I said just now is only going to get more intense and more complicated. So unless the government and the public and people like us take some steps, the situation is going to worsen.
So do you think blending it with a higher education or something, because giving a simple on-the-job training program for an apprentice, instead of doing that, we blend it with a higher education can help you in attracting more apprentices for your organization?
I do believe that. I do strongly believe that. I'm sure the government of India has also come up with this NEEM program, which is also doing very well. So which is, for me, it is part of apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is learning by doing, which is a worldwide phenomenon. It's not just India. India, it became an act in 1961. I'm sure in worldwide, I was just reading the article. It's been in Europe right from the 14th, 15th century. So it's part of work. It's part of employment. So maybe government should insist that unless people complete apprenticeship, regular employment should not be offered. So then more and more people will choose to go through apprenticeship program. It'll actually work. It'll help the industry. It'll help to build the skills, because skills are not built in whatever game stores or whatever it is. Skills are built on the shop floor. And the knowledge is learned at the Gemba. So I strongly believe and advocate that apprenticeship should be made mandatory. It's only being made mandatory only for the ITI people. Diplomas and engineers, it's an optional thing. But however, the skill gap in the diploma and engineering is equally high. So apprenticeship, yes, to answer simply to the question, we have challenges, and I strongly believe NEEM kind of program, which links higher education with work, and also combines a concept of learn while you earn or earn while you learn, also will be the future for the apprenticeship program.
Yeah, I think the education policy of 2020 also state about the degree apprenticeship program. We actually take care of maybe to some extent help us maybe in future may help us in hiring apprentices, because that will create that blend of learning and as well as doing the practical part of it. So I'll take up this question with Mr. Ajay. Mr. Ajay, what is your thought in terms of like supply chain when you talk at hiring apprentice? As you said, you have not find much of challenges in hiring apprentices, but how you've been able to overcome the challenge in terms of hiring apprentices for your organization?
See, in continuation to my fellow colleague who just mentioned about the challenges, we also have our bit of it, but not that extensive. But yes, one of the most challenging thing what we face while hiring these people is the quality, because when we look for certain skills, like when we are looking for X-ray technicians or USG ultrasound technicians, Okay, and to a certain extent, the phlebotomist, these are nothing but the sample collection guy in layman language who collect samples, blood samples. Okay, so when we are looking at them, what they learn during their 6 months, 3 months, 6 months of training with the skill development center, it is not enough. And like my colleague mentioned, that the real learning happens when they come on the shop floor. Okay, so and for this reason, and again, not every development center, you get what you want wherever you go. So we have also gone, from Hyderabad, we have traveled to Mizoram, we have traveled to Guwahati, Tripura, Shillong, the places like this to pick up apprentice. Okay, because we have explored everywhere, wherever we have possible and the possibilities, and we experienced that in the past that yeah, candidates there are good. We have always visited those places. So the only challenge what we face in this entire process is sometimes with the quality of the candidate what we get. Otherwise, as far as numbers are concerned, we get it what we want.
But when I talk about your industry, specifically your industry, I think the curriculums which you have, the job roles which you have for apprenticeship program are more most of them are like pure on-the-job training programs. They are not blended with a degree program, or they are not blended with a diploma program. Do you think blending them or with a diploma or degree program will help them with the stickiness part of it?
It will, because see now when they come with this basic skill set, unless and until they add up to it, they are going to remain as a trainee only, or maybe they are going to remain as that particular level where they are getting into. Okay, because they will never grow in life. And moreover, like for us, like with this phlebos, like sample collection guys, in case they don't have this technical certification with them, we have a challenge of taking them on roles, because the moment, in case I'm looking at taking that person on role after a year and the person doesn't have the technical certification, I am not allowed to take him, because the local state certification is must for me to take them on board on the roles. So this is, if the blend happens, it is more than us, it is going to be good for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. So I'll take up this question again, Mr. Prasad. Again, I think your industry, what are the challenges you face when you're hiring apprentices for the modern trade, general trade? If you can highlight, or maybe you can tell us how you've been able to resolve the hiring supply chain issue for your industry, or maybe for your company specifically.
Yes. See, as far as our industry is concerned, if you look at our colleague Mr. Ajaynath, what he mentioned, or what Mr. Manikam has said, see, for them, it is a little bit of challenging more than me, because they look at little bit of technical qualification or technical experience or expertise in dealing a particular job. Whereas our trade or our this thing is of a general in nature. So what we look out is generally the basic qualification of a people. Maybe it is like, with 10 standard or 12 standard. With that qualification, if a person has got good communication skills, that is sufficient for us. So from that level, we can adopt them and train them into our trade, like be it getting in, training them in the merchandising activity, in the selling skill sets, all those things, so that we can provide. So one advantage, what I do agree, additional to this on-job training, it is like when people, we can always tell them that you learn while earning. Both are there. See, today, who are the people who will be the dropouts at 10th standard or 12th standard? For various reasons, maybe economic background of the family or the need and necessity, they drop out. But they will be having aspiration to study, but they're not able to study. For them, this apprentice training, if we inculcate and help them in learning on job, then we can also provide them the study. They can do some course in the correspondence, they can get qualified over the period. What happens is, by the time they come out as graduates or anything in our retail sphere or any other graduation, any discipline for that matter. So after some time, when they go out in the market, They will have on-job training certificate with them. In addition to that, by then they would have attained the degree and they would have met their needs in this period of time. So thus this apprentice scheme backed with the educational program will definitely help both the industry as well as to the trainees who undergo these things, and overall for the economic development of the country, it would be very helpful. I think government is already looking into these areas. They have been doing a lot of things in these areas. And we expect much more to be done in these areas. And definitely we all, as an industry participant, should also cooperate, help the government in providing more and more opportunity to the youngsters to build their careers. That's why we.
Yeah, Mr. Prasad, when somebody from your hiring team is doing the hiring part of it, I'm sure they face the challenge when like somebody coming and he's looking for an employment, and and your hiring manager need to convince him to be an apprentice. So how you take care of that?
See, that's what we will tell them. See, at the end of the day, everybody in life, the aspiration as soon as you finish your education at whatever level you are, so you would like to get into a job. People prefer that, yes, I'm an employee in an organization. That's what everybody wants it to be. But if you tell them, Baba, you are qualified like this, you are coming to me today. And if I hire you today, as Mr. Ajaynath also mentioned, so if I hire you today at this qualification, at this level, probably you may remain like this for your entire life. But whereas if I provide you an opportunity wherein you are a fresher, you do not know anything, I will guide you in this area. I will make you to learn these things. In addition to that, I can help you in providing your educational progress. I will provide you such facilities for you. You can do some degree courses while doing this job. So maybe after 3 years or after 2 years, when you complete this activity, you will be in more demand in the market and you can aspire for a better career with all these things. So that's, if we convince people and if they understand, so then ultimately at that level when they come, what is their need? Their need is mainly that they need some job and they need their money. So now if you tell them, I'll give you a job, but I will call you as trainee and I will provide you training. Over and above that, I am giving you money. So these two things are, your needs are met. Over and above that, I am providing you education. So when you do this, it will be good for you. Like that, so we convince them and take.
Yeah, so it's more like giving a career progress or career path to them. If they stay with you for 3 years, they can move to a different level altogether.
Yeah. That should be the attitude and approach. Otherwise, just to meet my need and requirement, if I just take a person and like for lifelong, if he remains as a salesperson or when doing the same job, then I'm not also doing the justice. So I have to provide him an opportunity for the growth. So we also tell them over the period, if you complete the training, and you may even get absorbed by us in our own organization.
Makes sense. Yeah. So, Mr. Nathan, I'll take up this question maybe briefly. So, how do you work out the career path for an apprentice when he joins your organization, and how you take care of his career growth or maybe his career progress when he join and when he'll move out of apprenticeship program? Do you absorb people or you certify and exit them and they become part of the industry?
Okay, so we do both. As I had mentioned earlier, the business also cannot absorb all the apprenticeships that that come across that we come across. So these people do come across, join and work with us to learn, and really exceptional talents do get absorbed. We have a career path, we have a roadmap to absorb apprentices. We have, after the statutory apprenticeship, we have what is called as a company training program. And after successive completion of that, they get absorbed as regular employees. Okay, so during this period of traineeship, their progress is periodically monitored by HR and also by the respective supervisors. And based on the periodic evaluation or continuous assessments, those people, such trainees, are given an opportunity to be absorbed into the organization. So we have several cases. I really don't want to go into the details, but we do provide career opportunity for apprentices.
Great. So, Mr. Ajay, how do you work out a career growth or career progression for apprentice who join your organization? It is 6 months, 1 year, or maybe you take it to 3 years, kind of a succession plan for this apprentice.
See, at Vijaya, like for last 2-3 years, we have been expanding at a very, good rate. And next 3-4 years also, it is going to continue in the same manner. So when I say this, what I mean is that our demand is always there, and demand is big as far as this apprentice is concerned. Now, second thing is about the career progression. We do tell them because, for example, maybe let me put it in this way. Let me quote an example. Suppose we are taking a person at the reception, for example, in one of our center. These people who come in, we take them as a trainee, and they are put we are like at a reception level. So their next, what we show them, the career progression, next they can be billing executive. Next, they can be patient relation executive. Then next level, they become a center manager. So this all, if the candidate is really good, within a period of 5 to 6 years, if the person continues with the organization, he or she has the opportunity to become a center manager within 5 to 6 years, right from reception to center manager, which is a big thing. Okay. So this kind of opportunities are available for the people. And when they come in the first year and they work with us in the first year, we give them enough sound platform for them to learn and for them to equip all the knowledge what they require in future, what they are going to require in future to grow within the organization. So as far as this career growth, career progression, all that opportunities are open for them. We make it very visible. We make it very, like we explain it to them. We make it visible to them right on the day they join us. Okay, but not, and we have enough opportunities to absorb all of them, but not at the cost of non-performance. Okay, so we give them the complete platform, and we want only those people who are really keen to continue with us, who are really keen to acquire all the knowledge what we are giving it to them, and they are ready to face the challenges going forward. So these are the couple of things, because having given them the platform, if the people are not able to perform and they are not willing to really, come up to the mark or say be with the organization, and they personally, they don't want to grow, because see, they come with like I mentioned earlier, they come with a basic skill set. But if they have to grow, they have to acquire some additional skills also, some certification for them to really growing further. So this is what we follow in Vijaya. We give them enough opportunities, provided they themselves are also willing to really go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll just take up the final topic for discussion, and then we take us some few questions. So I'll go back to Mr. Nathan. I think a couple of days back we discussed about the productivity, or you can say learning curve for an apprentice, right? I think regulation. I side aside the regulation part of it. When I talk about somebody who is joining as a trainee or an apprentice, he need to be productive, right, in terms of doing that on-the-job training program. So what is your thought on this? Do you think the apprentices become productive, or the learning curve improves? And if it improves, what the time frame they start become productive, or the learning curve actually happens for them in 3 months time or 6 months time, or is really challenging for you guys to make them productive while they are doing an apprenticeship program?
Okay, so it's an interesting question, because I personally don't believe in applying the concept of productivity for apprentices. Apprentices are meant to learn. Okay, so learning is fun when they are given the opportunity to learn. If you put a target in front of them, then they chase the target, then the learning goes haywire. Okay, so in Vishay, as I mentioned, we believe in honing the skills. We believe in training the people, imparting the skills required to become a better technician. Okay, so the learning curve is there. It takes time. It takes about 3 months for some people, really sharp. Some people, it takes 6 months. Okay. So we do provide the necessary support and implements for them to learn the job, the tricks of the trade on the job. And then once they learn and we find them very good, and then comes the next part. Once they finish the apprenticeship in such talents, we spot and then we continue with the company training program. But we look at aptitude and then the completeness of the job. The productivity we run productivity with the regular employees, and that's what they're paid for. And these apprenticeships are the future. Okay, these are the people whom we train, and once we spot the talent, and those are the people whom we invest, and then we bet on our future. Okay, so I strongly believe we shouldn't really flog the apprentices for productivity, and in fact, the law itself is not designed for such things. So maybe I'm sounding a little odd here, but there are many companies who are running the production customer requirements through apprentices. Okay, it could be short-lived, and this is actually they might soon run out of steam. This is not a good practice. So
when you talk about SME,
generalize it. I'm just trying to, because you spoke about productivity.
So when I talk a small and medium enterprises like yours, large in nature, right, where they have this capacity of learning curve and other things. When I talk small and medium enterprises, they have this challenge, right? And that is the reason today the apprentices have not scaled up in small and medium enterprises, right? Because of the regulation part of it and the productivity not related to the trainees and apprentices. Anyway, it's a different discussion altogether.
Exactly. I strongly believe apprentices, you must invest your time and resources to build the skills. And once you build the skills, and then you get them regular employment, or you make them as a company employee, a trainee, or whatever it is, and then push them for productivity. But during learning, don't add this additional yoke of productivity.
Got it. Makes sense. So, Mr. Deba Prasad, I'll take the same question to you. Your industry is very highly competitive because it's like the retail industry. How you describe the productivity, or you can say learning curve part of it for apprentices?
Yeah. For example, I agree with Mr. Manikam to an extent, because in a manufacturing setup and industry, what he said is 100%. But as far as in our case is concerned, the learning curve for the people, see, it is between, say, I can say 4 months to 1 year time, wherein we can train the people and they can learn completely the trade and then start working there. So now what happens is there are very, very sharp people that 4 months is sufficient. For the people who are little, they need to understand, especially getting into more communication skills and managing the products. And when a customer comes and asks for more detailing about the product, see, for example, anybody comes to have a look at a T-shirt, and he can show the T-shirt what it is, and he can talk to them what is the price of that. But the question is, if to a customer, if he has to prove that in what way this T-shirt is better than the other product, in terms of the technical aspect of it, be it in design, be it in the fabric, whatever, to explain all these things, learning, it takes some more time for him. But we keep continuous training and they learn. So what we do also, we don't emphasize much on these people in terms of their productivity at the store level in the beginning. So what we do at a later part of the training period, how we talk to them on the productivity is differently. So we keep paying them whatever they need to be paid as agreed, but there are sales targets. So if he achieves over and above that, he will be paid an incentive. So that means that itself becomes an advantage for them, that they think that, yes, I have to learn quicker, I have to start achieving the numbers, because over and above my salary, I will be getting an incentive. So they will be very happy to do that. So this is the way it is working there. And also, as Mr. Ajaynath mentioned, in terms of the career path and other things, we also have the similar thing. Maybe a guy who has worked for 2 years, 3 years, next career path goes for him as a team leader, because Earlier, he will be managing one counter. So then he may have to manage 10 such counters along with this similar trainees. So he becomes a team leader. After another 1 or 2 years when he delivers, then he can even become an area manager. So this path is also there. So all said and done, what it matters after the completion of the training is their career ambition and further what they need to become in their career, how they want to grow, the clear aptitude and this behavioral pattern of the person makes us to take the decision on them. That's what.
Yeah. So I'll take up finally with Ajay. Mr. Ajay, again, whatever the learning curve, right?
So I have actually got both the versions from two of my fellow colleagues. At Vijaya, what we do is currently in my organization where I come from, the first year, actually we call it as a training period. So there, actually the composition is around 80% on the job training and 20% classroom training. Okay. So, and the training period, which is of around 1 year, we focus completely on the training part rather than on the being productive. Anyway, like maybe when we put them on the job, like they are spending 80% of their time on the job. So in case they commit any mistakes in the process and all that, if I say that they are being unproductive, we don't do that. Okay, we keep on training them. Okay. Now, and we see how the mistakes are getting reduced in the process. So overall, when we see, at the end of 1 year, if you ask me, like the general trend, what we have seen in last 2-3 years is around 25 to 30% of the people, they really turn out very well. Okay, so if I have to term it as they are very productive, so we can term it in that way. But this 25 to 30%, they really turn out very well. And other, like around 70%, the remaining, we then again continue the training period for some more time. Okay. Now, one more, there are always exceptions to this also. Like Mr. Devaprasad also mentioned that if we come across some good, you can say the resource or apprentice, in 4 months' time, he is really doing very, or she is really doing very well, has the required certifications. There were occasions where we have brought them on roles also, even after 4 months of time. We did not wait for 1 year to 1 year of training period. So exceptions also were there. So this is what my take is on this.
I think great. So there's some issue with the noise. So I think we have we'll take it up just in some very interesting questions, or you may say inputs which we would like to take it up. So there's a question from Mr. Okay, I'll just not mention the name of the participant. So PF, ESIC or gratuity is applicable for apprentices or not applicable for apprentices? Mr. Natalie, would you like to take up this question for the audience?
Okay, under the law, under the Apprenticeship Act 1961, the apprentice is not deemed an employee or a workman. So therefore, none of these legislations are applicable. Only the workman compensation is applicable in case of an injury for them. Okay. Anyway, employer is also expected to take out special kind of insurance, especially since last year announcement by the government. Other than that, they are not deemed as workmen under this law. For safety, yes, under Factories Act, they are deemed a workman for safety provisions. We need to extend all the provisions of safety. But other than that, ESI, PF, they are not covered.
Can I add something here?
Yeah, please.
Actually, what Mr. Manikam said, they are part of workman compensation because we are a healthcare industry, so we don't have that workman compensation with us. So what we have done is for all our trainees, we have taken a what we call health insurance. Okay, so wherein at least they should have some medical relief in case of any crisis. Okay, so we have taken only for self 1 lakh insurance for them. So this is an add-on thing, which is as a social welfare measure, we have done it.
So there's another question with respect to stipend payout. So stipend is benchmarked to minimum wages, or stipend is benchmarked to specific education. Mr. Ajay would like to take up this question.
See, what we offer here is, I don't think, because since it is not a wage stipend, this term itself is not a wage, so we have not seen any regulations on that till now. Okay, there is nothing defined that this is the minimum stipend what you have to pay to the apprentice.
So apprentice wage, it is not benchmarked to wages, it is benchmarked to education, right? This is what the regulation talks about at this point of time.
Sorry.
So when I talk about the stipend for apprentices, it is benchmarked to education, is not benchmarked to the minimum wages. I think
Yeah,
that
it is not. It is not.
Yeah.
However, there is a guideline by the authorities. You are expected to pay minimum wages, at least the unskilled category. The minimum wages for unskilled category is to be payable for ITIs in the first year. And then you are required to pay semi-skilled wages in the second year. And for diploma, you've got to pay semi-skilled wages in the first year itself. So these are certain guidelines already in the law, enshrined in the law, and you've got to follow.
Yeah, so I think there's an amendment in
For
2019.
NEEM, maybe it's slightly different. NEEM, the guidelines is only to pay unskilled wages, the minimum wages as minimum wages.
So under Apprenticeship Act, there's an amendment in 2019. It is now not benchmarked to wages, minimum wages. It is benchmarked to education. Suppose you hire a diploma holder is benchmarked to a specific stipend.
Yeah.
Like you hire a graduate, it is benchmarked to minimum. Stipend is not benchmarked to minimum wages. So I'll take up another question, which is like, what is the percentage of apprentices you can hire in an organization? So Mr. Deva Prasad would like to take up this question.
I think what you are eligible to take is minimum 2.5% of your total strength and maximum of 15% of your total strength who can be on your apprenticeship. That's my understanding of the
yes. So it is like 2.5% the compliance need, and what Mr. Natalie was trying to explain, that statutory apprentices, then I think another rest is like maximum is 15%. So 2.5% to 15%.
Yeah, 50%. Yeah.
So I have a question for Mr. Natalie. So when you talk about the apprenticeship program, how digitalization is going to play important role with respect to the learning part of it, because apprenticeship is basically blend with the practical and the theory part of it. So how digitalization will play important role, or playing an important role in your organization with respect to the theory part of it?
Okay, so all apprentices, or so I should say most apprentices who join a company are assigned an AD account. AD account is Active Directory account, and they get a mail ID, and they also get trained to access computers, make data entry, and also transact official businesses on the computer. So they are actually imparted training on the job itself. So prior to that, as many of our colleagues would have mentioned, they also agree with me. Prior to that, it would straightly they'll go to the machine and do the job. But now, a significant, substantial part of it is also involved in how to digitally record your output and how to communicate with the fellow colleagues through the media. In fact, for many people, even their attendance mark itself through a system, through a computer, and also through a digital platform. So if you really ask me to quantify this, I would say roughly about 15 to 20% of the work that some of the apprentices are doing are through the digital platform. Okay, but I wouldn't say this is the norm, but this is more out of the supervisor's interest to impart training to the supervisors, to the apprentices.
Thank you. So there's another question which said that can apprentices can be hired in different job roles. So, Mr. Ajay, I think your organization is hiring apprentices in different job roles. If you'd like to again elaborate that particular for the audience, because there's a question which says, can someone hire apprentices for customer care? So I think you have been hiring people in different job roles.
Yeah.
Maybe you can.
Yeah, they can be because it depends on what kind of requirement I have. Okay, so when I go to the skill development center and I go to pick them up, I'm clear about my demands, like my requirement, and I look at those people. And because we have been hiring people in a lot of lot of areas, not only in one, USG, like I mentioned, X-ray, dispatch, billing. Then we hire people in housekeeping. So we hire in across different roles. So it is very well possible because first of all, what kind of requirement we have, what I have, and then when I go there, I should get what I want. We are open for that. Yeah, we do that.
Trithik, can I add here?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
See, as I mentioned all through when I was talking majorly into my retail sector, where my major hiring is happening. But having said that, we also do hire the trainees in other areas, like in my design department, be it in my merchandising, who has to do my quality control and those areas. So, but only thing is the number of people required to be hired in these areas are very lesser limited. Whereas in my retail, the number of requirement is higher. But anybody can hire to any areas of the work. There is no restriction that you need to do in this and that, like that. You can hire for your job role and requirement, whatever is required. And that is one. And I'm just going back to my earlier answer where I said the percentage restrict, minimum and maximum. That is under apprenticeship, whatever. So whereas under NEEM program, I don't think any such restriction is there.
Yeah, different skilling program have
different skilling program. That is, yeah.
So for manufacturing, we do hire people both for shop floor roles and administrative roles.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
I agree with them that we do, but then the qualification differs.
Yeah, it differs.
And we take those kind of people for administrative roles, and technical people are taken for the shop floor roles.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think it gives the answer is that you can hire apprentices across different job roles. It doesn't restrict from the Apprenticeship Act also. So you can hire apprentices as per your job role requirements.
Yes.
So I think we will take just one particular topic, which I every time I do when I conduct a webinar. So I just want to know from each of you, maybe we can start with Ajay. Ajay, what is your recommendation to the industry about apprenticeship?
My recommendation would be because see now, owing to pandemic in this last 1 or 2 years, there has been a lot of attrition in our industry, in the industry where I work in, and not only because of the pandemic, otherwise also in general trend, because we are a retail organization in the healthcare sector, our attrition at the lower level is very high. So, and to get people to hire people from the market, to fulfill our demand, it is very, very challenging. And for me as an organization at Vijaya, yes, we would be always, open to hire this apprentice, and the demand for us will be always there. And secondly, I also, in general, if you ask me, I would recommend organizations, healthcare sectors, basically, or any industry in that say, to give opportunities to these people, because they come with a very basic skill set, and companies like us, if we give them the opportunity, it is nothing but we are creating employment opportunities more and more. Okay, and in turn, we are also helping them in settling in their life. Okay, so I would suggest, because there are a lot of jobs available in companies which can be handled by them. Provided we groom them well in the first year in the training period, and we groom, and they have the capability, or most of them, overall, I would say, if not very productive, but at least 60 to 70% of them have the capability to at least settle down, to do what they are expected to do. Okay. So my recommendation will always be, yes, let us look at them. Let us create and take in more in numbers wherever we feel, yeah, this job can be handled by them.
Absolutely. So I'll take up this with Mr. Deva Prasad.
Yeah.
So finally, your input, sir.
Yeah. So I agree with Mr. Ajay on this point. See, basically, how we should look at this trainees, whomever we take under apprenticeship and all. First of all, as an organization, we should know one thing: we should never differentiate them with our regular employees. As far as we are concerned, they have come to work along with our other regular employees. So the treatment what you give to your employees should be the same what you should give it to them. So then what happens is, see, ultimately, then the people will get encouraged to come and take up this training role. Otherwise, as we initially discussed, the people always want the job. I mean, I want a permanent job and other things. And if you remember good old days, people used to ask the people, look, what is your experience? The moment anybody goes to an interview, what is your experience? Remember, unless some opportunity is given to the people to learn and do something, then from where he will get an experience. So this is a very good platform where that you can impart the training to the guy and he learns it and he can always speak about that. Yes, that is his experience. So
Absolutely.
a good thing. That's
Finally, yeah, right, great. So finally, Mr. Natalie, what is your final input on the recommendation part of it to the industry with respect to apprenticeship?
Okay, see, the industry has to take up apprenticeship seriously, because this is the only way to build skills. Now, I will take up from what Mr. Deva Prasad said. We should not differentiate between people. Okay. Yesterday, I was also a trainee. I got an opportunity. So today I got the training. So I was able to get a permanent job. So the same opportunity we should be able to offer to somebody else. Okay. So apprenticeship is one of the most important obligations of an employer. I will deem it as a social obligation. Now, many people do it because CSR is there, but there are companies. I was fortunate to be part of companies in the South and also here that who were doing apprenticeship irrespective of the CSR benefits, because it is one way, easiest way to build skills. And there are a lot of questions in this thing, whether I can convert NEEM into contract into this thing. No, please don't approach apprenticeship from that perspective. Please, that is wrong. Notion itself, the premise itself is wrong. Okay, you want to take regular employees, take regular employees. And apprenticeship you should take with an eye for the future. Okay, maybe different industries are different. Mr. Ajay's industry, Mr. Deva Prasad's industries are different. But manufacturing industry should never look at apprenticeship from a short-term view. We should always look at them with a long-term perspective. Because everywhere they say industry is growing, but you don't have skills. And you don't have skills because you don't take apprentices. Then it's a chicken and egg story. Okay, if you don't invest now, when are you going to build trainees? Are you going to import people from the moon? You cannot. So there's a saying, like it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. So no skill, don't cry. At least appoint some apprentices, even if you spend some money, at least government is incentivizing, claim the CSR funds and train apprentices. Okay, if not for you, at least it will help him. There are many people who will say, I did training in Bharat Kalyani, Tata, or maybe Vijaya or Proline, wherever people will say after 5-10 years, even after we are gone. And that's the legacy that we leave. So I strongly advocate we should, employer, as it's a social obligation. It is not a legal compliance. It is a social obligation. We should take apprentices. No second thoughts about it.
I also agree on that particular point on three of you. I think we had a fantastic discussion, a lot of things to learn from all three of you. We'd like to conclude the webinar now. Thank you so much for taking out time for this discussion. I'd like to thank the audience also. I request audience to download the report on Apprenticeship Outlook, which is available in LinkedIn, and maybe we can share a link to you. So that is completely insight about the next 6 months, how the hiring will look, which industry the hiring will increase, and all those things. It's a very exhaustive report. I request whenever you get time, just download it, and then we will learn a lot of things about apprenticeship program from that. Thank you so much again. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
enjoy
providing
being
us an opportunity to be on this panel.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.